Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Big news, new legislation that's coming in. And look, like anything when it comes to new bills, legislation, stuff that's floating around, if we don't make our voices heard on it, it might not go anywhere. So, if you agree with this, you should absolutely reach out to your congressional members, both on the House and the Senate side, and let them know that you support this specific legislation or any legislation that has to do with really anything, although I'm focused on veteran stuff. So with that, the headline here is Senators Moran, King introduce legislation to permanently expand access to disability claims exams for veterans. That sounds like a good thing to me. We're going to read into it here. Before we jump into it, though, I want to throw on a special thank you to JumpDude55. JumpDude55, hey, thank you so much for that super comment, super chat. I really do appreciate your support very much. Thank you again, JumpDude55. All right, so this just came out May 2nd, 2025. I'm sharing it with you here today. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran, who is the chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, and Senator Angus King, member of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, introduced legislation to permanently authorize a pilot program to expand veterans' access to medical disability exams for veterans filing claims for service-connected disability. All right, so now why is this important? Let's jump through it. This piece of legislation would allow any eligible healthcare professional with a current, unrestricted license and a contract with the VA to provide medical disability exams to veterans across state lines. So imagine if you're on a border city, you're close to another state, and let's say the bigger city's on the other state side, right? And they got more opportunities there. You would be able to actually cross state lines and be able to get things done, which is also a very important thing to expedite stuff. So let's move on here to a couple quotations. Sometimes they're nice to read because we can essentially read between the lines a little bit. So greater access to medical disability exams, being able to get your disability exam quicker, right, will enable more veterans to receive timely, high-quality care and the benefits they've earned, said Senator Moran. As more veterans file for VA care and benefits following their military service, this legislation will help increase the number of licensed healthcare professionals who are certified to provide medical disability exams, providing quick and accurate exams for veterans. All right, so let's pause there for a minute. Not to go down this road too deeply, but here we are. So this is really just expanding the network of C&P examiners and allowing them to work across state lines, which I think is important. So that is one piece of it. Now, what is also in the background, it's not on the forefront at all, is a couple different things. I'm also thinking about the ability to bolster up community care, what that could look like, because that's going to be a needed element for veterans, right? So I'm also thinking about that. Then the other thing that I'm thinking about is if the VA, really start increasing the ability to access disability exams and all that type of stuff, and the legislation that got passed back in December of 2024 that allows the VA to essentially pull the plug on public-facing DBQs. This is an important thing as well. Public-facing DBQs could potentially disappear, although there is a workaround. And moving on, the next quotation here, we have an obligation to our veterans to return the service they gave us while minimizing bureaucracy and delays, said Senator King. By allowing veterans the ability to access their disability claims exams without a delay and be able to visit any VA-approved licensed medical professional to perform their benefits exam, we can help alleviate the patient backlogs and ensure veterans receive the benefits they earned in a timely manner. This bipartisan bill is yet another way we can express our gratitude to the brave men and women who have served. Now, there's a couple other things here. I'll just read through this real quick. In 2020, Congress created a pilot program in the Johnny Isaacson and David P. Rowe, MD, Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act of 2020 that expanded license portability requirements and allowed certain licensed medical professionals to provide contract medical disability examinations across the state lines for VA. All right. So what does getting a faster C&P exam really do? It helps speed up the claim. Remember, I mean, your claim is really, and I guess this is just a good time to just kind of walk through it real quick. The first thing you should always do is file an intent to file. Get that in place. That preserves a potential effective date, and it preserves all of the rating schedules that are in effect at that given time. So if there's any weird changes that take place after that, you're protected. Now you have a year to file your actual claim. File your claim. You gather all your evidence, right, over that year period, and then you file your claim. What kind of evidence do you need? Well, you need to have two things in mind as you're putting together your evidence, okay? You need to think about service connection. I need to prove that, and I also need to prove the severity so I can get it rated appropriately. So you're going to need to supply them. The three things that I always talk about is you need to send out these items, right? Your DD-214 provides the window of opportunity of your service, right? So whether you have a DD-214 or multiple, it gives an entry date and an exit date and that window of opportunity for direct service connection. Presumptives fall outside of that. They can be anytime, anywhere. It's that they just presume that it's from your time in service. But that window of opportunity is important. The next thing is you need to have that diagnosis, the diagnosed condition that's chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. You need to fully document that, right? You need to show the severity of the condition. Ideally, you're going to work with your doctor to provide you a disability questionnaire, have them complete that. There's public-facing DBQs. Now, if your doctor can't, won't, or doesn't, and they don't know how to, really get into the VA's schedule of ratings and kind of input that language and all the VA legalese to tie around it to get your severity in line with what the VA is looking for, utilize AME, American Medical Experts. They are board certified doctors. Their links in the description and in the comments. You can use them. So you are going to provide your diagnosis and the severity as it relates to the rating schedule. Otherwise, it doesn't really make any sense. What you're trying to do is file a claim for disability based on what the VA determines is the criteria needed in order to warrant a specific rating. So make sure you utilize that schedule of ratings. Again, AME understands that. They know what to do, so that's easy. Next is you need to prove the link, the nexus, the link between the condition and your time in service, proving that it is service connected. Okay, this is the other piece that you need to do. Now, if you got diagnosed while you were in service or you got injured while you were in service and that was documented and that's what you're filing your claim about, your nexus is solid. You're good just with the dates that are shown because they're in that window of opportunity. The problem arises when we get out and then years go by and then finally we go and get diagnosed outside of service and we have nothing in our service records that really relate to anything that we're filing for. Then you have to do a little more work. For example, I like to use migraines because typically it's the things that we can self-treat and just deal with that we leave we leave with no evidence from service. So because you're popping Motrin, you got Motrin from your medic or your corpsman, and you move on and you don't have anything documented. So you would write a letter explaining your time in service, what you did to treat your migraines in this example, and you would talk about that. And then you would try to find somebody that you served with. Maybe you have contact with somebody you served with that could attest to their knowledge of you suffering from migraines. Have them complete a short letter on your behalf, a buddy statement. Then family members. You may have some family members that knew you obviously before you went in and you never had any issues. And then you went in and then you came back maybe during your time in service. Maybe you came home on leave and you were popping Motrin like a madman or woman. And now they can write a letter attesting to their knowledge of you suffering from migraines. So your letter, a buddy that you served with letter, a letter from a family member, you get all those. That's good. That's called lay evidence. Now you're going to go to your doctor and you're going to explain the situation to them and you're going to have them write a Nexus letter. This is where you hear the word or the terms, the words or the term, at least as likely as not. That is the threshold. My cat's in here meowing now. I mean, whatever. So the term, at least as likely as not, is the VA's threshold, right? It's a coin flip. As long as the evidence is equal on both sides, they are supposed to rule in your favor. So your Nexus letter may say it's at least as likely as not that your migraines have manifested during your time in service. In my opinion, it's always better to get more. If you can get your doctor to say more than likely, then have them say that. If your doctor can't, won't, or doesn't understand how to do an appropriate Nexus letter with all of the VA legalese wrapped in it to solidify your service connection, then again, utilize AME, American Medical Experts. Their information's in the description and in the comments. Now, as you go through that, here's where the gold is. Once you get all that done and you get it submitted, because you're so aware of what you are doing to provide the information needed for a successful claim, you are prepared for that C&P exam. And if this piece of legislation goes through, not only will you be able to get through that C&P exam very easily and appropriately, but hopefully your C&P exam will happen quicker, thus resulting in a quicker decision for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.